All right, you fantasy football sickos who still want to play fantasy football after the regular season is over, don't worry. I got you guys covered for the 2025 Fantasy Football Playoff Challenge. Got the best 12-man roster, not only the best, but the most safest roster build for the general contest. There's two contests. One's a $35 buy-in and a $200 buy-in. A bigger pool, a bigger prize. So I got you guys set up right now. So let's jump right into it. Let's build this 12-man roster, the best and most safe roster that I believe that I can put together to help you guys bring home the gold. Now, there's going to be two contests like I explained before. One's a $35 buy-in, and the other one's a $200 buy-in. Now, for the guys that are new, or guys and gals, I should say, the boomers that the fantasy streets are calling you guys, the rules are very simple, man. You're going to be building a 12-man roster, a quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and 4 flex positions with a kicker and defense. So you're going to have to fade 2 of those teams where you're not going to be grabbing any players, a kicker or defense out of that roster. And I got those fades in this video for you. And I got a strategy that I think you guys will have success in. So now looking at how we're going to be doing this grand scale, you got 12 players that you need to build, but you can only pick 1 player from each team. For example, real quick, you have Patrick Mahomes. You cannot choose any other chief to fill up any of these other positions. Not a kicker, not a defense, nothing. So that is the name of the game. I'm going to tell you this now. I'm going to be jumping around. I'm going to the tight end and flex position here, where I think these are going to be the 2 most chalk players. The first up, it's going to be Travis Kelce at that tight end position. He has the best bet to making it to the Super Bowl. And also worth mentioning, yes, the first seed has a bye, but the Super Bowl, you get double the points. So who has the best case to actually play in the Super Bowl than a Chiefs player like Travis Kelce, who's shown up big in the playoffs last season as well? And that drop off from tight end is fairly huge. Honestly, look, Mark Andrews could be an option because Zay Flowers is out, but are you going to put Mark Andrews in as your one Raven over a Lamar Jackson you want to build a team, or even a Derrick Henry if you're trying to fit and build a team? No, I honestly think I will go to other areas. Now, are you going to go Sam Laporta? Because there's not that many other trustworthy, safe tight ends in this playoff pool amongst these teams at the tight end position where production warrants me to have him in starting lineups. So no, I'm not going to put Sam Laporta. And also, are you going to put him over Jahmyr Gibbs, who is my other chalk player, where most of the boomers, most of the newer guys and gals that are playing this contest are going to automatically smash Jahmyr Gibbs. They're going to smash Jahmyr Gibbs just based on the play he's had. He's the most explosive player. I don't even remember David Montgomery of what he's been doing, because he's been on the sideline and returning from injury, hopefully in the second round. But more so looking at Jahmyr Gibbs, he is the gears. He is the function of this offense. He brings the explosiveness, highest ceiling to score big points here in these 2 games in the divisional round. And obviously he's a Super Bowl favorite. The Lions are a Super Bowl favorite to make it into the dance. And who wouldn't you want to have double the points with Jahmyr Gibbs in your roster? So a lot of these newer teams are going to have Travis Kelce, Jahmyr Gibbs. I understand you want to get as closest to a chalk team to kind of be on the outside to get the edge, but don't worry, I got you covered in other builds. Now let's jump to the quarterback position at the very top of this build. I'm going Josh Allen. I mean, look, this is an MVP campaign season for him. He's going to want to put the team on his back, and he has the highest upside of doing those things to put the team on his back against this Denver Broncos defense, who are one of the best in the NFL, getting heavy pressure and a bunch of sacks. But Josh Allen has shown us multiple times this season that he has put the team on his back without a Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and et cetera, et cetera. He is putting the proof in the pudding that he is going to go out there and ball out, and this is the time for him to do it. This is the best situation he's been in going into the playoffs, feeling this hot, feeling this confident. So I think he has the best bet to having a way to get at least 2 games. He may not go to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, but if we have Josh Allen in our builds and he's in the Super Bowl, and the way he's been playing and putting the team on his back, those points are going to jump up double in those Super Bowl points. So starting with Josh Allen, I feel like it's a safe bet there. Really don't trust any other Bills wide receiver. James Cook could be a build here where you could pivot, but my running back, I'm actually going to go with Derrick Henry. Now, I understand that Derrick Henry, he played the Steelers before, and you look at the production the last time he played, over 160 yards. He did not find the end zone, but they fed him in that game. He had over 25 carries. So I'm looking at this game as a potential that they lean on him again in this first round. And just in case, some people are going out there thinking that the Steelers might upset Lamar Jackson because we've seen the Baltimore Ravens disappoint before. But I feel very good about Derrick Henry putting the team on his back as well, putting up big points against the Steelers defense and likely to make it to the second round. If they go to the second round, I do believe they go against the Chargers, and this is a defense that they can have success on the ground with. So Derrick Henry, he's a smash there for me. Saquon Barkley. Now, Saquon Barkley has the Packers in the first round. He put up over 100 yards week one against his Packers defense, but he has the potential to explode in many of these matchups in this playoff run. And of course, listen, Jalen Hurts' health matters the most, but I believe in my heart that he's going to go out there, clear concussion protocol, and play this game. There's no way that I see anybody else being at the starting position than Jalen Hurts against this most important game. So I honestly think the functionality of this offense plays between Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. So I got him in my build as well. And now at the wide receiver position, my first wide receiver now, player that has a chance of getting 2 games. That's the name of the game as well, picking players that are likely to have at least 2 games out of this contest. And I think Ladd McConkey coming out with a W in their first matchup against the Texans, and then going against, maybe depending on the scenarios of how these things turn out, I honestly believe that the Chargers might see Baltimore again. So I definitely think that, it could be Baltimore, it could be Kansas City. I do like Ladd McConkey being the most productive, the target hog of this Chargers offense. So honestly, I want a guy that has a high target share, a high production ceiling when it comes to the wide receiver position, and he has the upside of seeing 2 games in this contest. Not saying he's going to the Super Bowl. I really don't see the Chargers going to the Super Bowl, but at least the floor is at least 2 games with the Chargers, because I have them beating the Texans. They may not beat the Chiefs or the Baltimore Ravens in that second round. Next up, Puka Nacua. Now, I was very, very cautious about this, but I do believe in my heart as a Rams fan being here in LA, I definitely feel as though that they could beat the Vikings and we can get 2 games out of Puka Nacua. We see how explosive he is. We see the target share. We see the production. He is the target hog. Cooper Kupp is not really a threat. He's been completely ghost in his last 3 games played on only 3 catches on 4 targets. It's real nasty work. But Cooper Kupp is not a factor to me, why I feel like I can't put Puka Nacua in this slot here. High target share, high production. The dude has crazy yak yards, could find the end zone in both rounds of the game. And this is me predicting that they beat the Vikings, that he goes to the second round, and they could play Philadelphia, where, again, he still was productive in that game as well, over 100 yards. Now, I already covered Travis Kelce and Jahmyr Gibbs at the tight end spot and at the flex spot. Now, this is where we get into the flex area, where Mike Evans is legacy chasing right now, and I feel a lot better if I'm going to pick a flex out of this Bucs game. And honestly, this might be a one and done because I have the Commanders winning, but I like Mike Evans' ceiling to play hard, legacy chasing, and he is just hungry for another ring as well. So there's high production there with a high set of volume coming his way. So he's obviously going to be in starting lineups. I trust him over Bucky Irvin, being that Rachaad White, when they're down, they have found times of having Rachaad White take some targets, take some routes, take some opportunities away from Bucky Irvin, even though Bucky Irvin could have a high ceiling of points and have a great showing, but still remember that you have to worry about Rachaad White in that red zone area. You have to worry about Rachaad White taking away some of those PPR opportunities. Bucky Irvin can have a great game or a good game. That's where the fence is with Bucky Irvin, where more likely, if Rachaad White's going to be heavily involved, could just be a good game. So moving on to the next flex position, Terry McLaurin. Now, I understand that this game can go either way. The Commanders can get upsetted and get the L to the Bucs, and you only get 1 round out of Terry McLaurin. But like I said, I feel as though the Commanders move on to the next round, and they'll be able to find success, and they'll be facing Detroit Lions if that was the case in that next round. So I definitely feel as though you could find production against that Lions defense, against those corners, where Terry McLaurin could be very productive, or this could be a Zach Ertz game. I know a lot of people were worried about in some of these builds that Zach Ertz might come up being the winner in the fantasy points over Terry McLaurin, because we've seen it this season where Noah Brown actually had more targets than Terry McLaurin at one point. But no, this is the playoffs. They have to lock in on their best players, so Terry McLaurin feels safe to have him in there. He's on the fence where he can have 1 or 2 games in this contest, but I definitely feel as though Commanders should come away with a win, so you're getting 2 games out of Terry McLaurin with high volume, and hopefully we can get some high production in that area as well. Next up, I'm going Courtland Sutton. If I'm going to be picking somebody from the Denver Broncos, just give me the guy that's been producing the most for him. Give me the guy who's leading the team in targets and yards, and he has almost double the yards next to the second person on that team, which is Marvin Mims at 500 and something yards. So therefore, obviously the production, the functionality of this offense goes through the Denver Broncos with Courtland Sutton. So honestly, this might be one of those things like, well, you got Courtland Sutton here. You may not see another game, but maybe the Denver Broncos upset the Bills. He could go out there and put up a huge game because Bo Nix is playing lights out these last couple of weeks, and Courtland Sutton's been doing very well finding the end zone in this season. So I definitely feel as though this could be a shot where you might be putting him into a losing slot on a losing team, where I feel as though Courtland Sutton at the end of the day still gives you high production and a high ceiling for a good fantasy outing with a decent matchup in both matchups in the first and second round if the Commanders happen to beat the Tampa Bay Bucks. Now we're going to the kicker position. Give me the Vikings kicker, honestly. I feel as though this might be a one and done, being that I have the Rams winning, but you honestly want to have the Vikings, kicker honestly just in the lineup, just based on how the offenses ran with Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson, and how they're able to attack and getting in field goal range. They're going to be taking those shots. He's a decent kicker. I mean, he's 8 for 11 from the 50-yard line, honestly. So I'll go ahead and slide in the Vikings kicker there if I have to choose somebody from this team. Now, honestly, the defense, I was very, very close of swapping in the Packers defense, but I do not like that. I'll take the Steelers with the upside that they could possibly play in 2 games in this contest. A lot of sack production from them. Joey Porter Jr. is probably their worst corner, being in the production side, looking at the numbers that they're probably going to pick on him. But overall, this defense has found success in the DST all season long with the sack production and the takeaways, and that's there for the Steelers defense. So I'm going to put them in, even though Lamar has humbled them and gave them a humble pie recently in the regular season, but I'll still take the upside that maybe they disappoint Lamar Jackson, because we saw Lamar Jackson these last couple of years not make it out of the wild card game. So I definitely think the Steelers need to be taken serious in this matchup. So I'll have them in the DST spot. Now, my 2 fades are obvious here. It's the Houston Texans. I don't see much upside for most of their players seeing 2 games. I don't see even much upside for Nico Collins over a Mike Evans or over a Puka Nacua or a Ladd McConkey to have that type of high ceilings that these guys will have, likely with them having 2 games as well. So the Packers defense, they don't really have a safe floor. The Packers in general, their players don't really have a safe floor. I don't like that Christian Watson's out. He takes some functionality out of that offense. So Jordan Love may be leaning to Josh Jacobs, maybe leading to Jaden Reed, whatever the case may be. You're not really able to pinpoint who's there. So the Packers players, the Houston Texans players are the 2 fades that I have out of these 14 teams. And the 12-man roster that I have here feels though they're the strongest, the most safest roster that you guys can go out there and win the gold. Now, honestly, this is a lot for me. Being that I work for the NFL, I am not able to participate in these contests. So I wanted to clear that up as well. So I am not playing in this contest, but I took the time to dive in, to simulate, strategize where I feel so this roster here is the best roster to have, the safest roster to have. And shout out to Scott Englund, our Rotoballer's own writer, who has an article out now displaying his rankings, giving you breakdowns, giving you strategies. So please make sure you follow Scott Englund on Twitter as well to stay up to date with all the latest and greatest content. And you guys can follow me at Real Deal Fantasy on all social media platforms. Until next time.